looks like we're ready to go.
Let's do it.
Jordan Wainwright, I just met you live and in living color last week. I think you reached out maybe a month ago.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't get connected. And then I got a chance to hear your story. And girl, my goodness, you are just up to some big things.
Thank you.
So first of all, just welcome to the show, The Chase and the Truth. Really want to do a deep dive into the grind, the work that you've put in, and some of those truths that you found along the way. For those of you all that are listening, Jordan started off as an apartment locator and now moving into the buy-sell real estate space. But you also put in a lot of work on social media. A lot of people, first of all, if they're not watching this on YouTube and they're just listening, you're so beautiful.
Thank you.
And you're usually not on camera, or it's more about the properties that you've been showing. And so I am really excited to share with everyone really the heart behind what you've built.
Yeah.
So Jordan Wainwright, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. And also meeting you has been incredible. I'm so glad that I have you as a resource now, especially getting into the buy-sell side of things and being new in that area. It can be intimidating, but that's why it's so important to have a good team around you. And you're a part of my team now. And I'm so thankful that we were connected.
Me too. I say, because in real estate, just in general, even in an apartment locating, and the first couple of years, you're like, I'll do anything. Yeah. And then after you put in some work, it's amazing because you really get to choose who you want to work with. Yeah. And then you get to partner with the right people. And so I feel the same way about you and your whole team, because I think the people that you start to bring on, they're part of little pieces of your heart.
Yeah,
right?
Most definitely. Every single teammate on my team, I value so much. And I think we spend the majority of our time working in this life. So I want nothing more than to create an environment where people feel like they are accepted, they're heard, they belong, and respected, and also encouraged and uplifted by me. That's really, kind of the theme of what I want to create, what I'm passionate about creating is that sense on a team.
It's what you've been working on the last year. So talk to me about your story. So I was actually, we met I think it was last week, right, for lunch, and you're so quiet. You popped in and sat down, and then we got to know you. Florida background, big family, all the things.
Yeah, I, for one, typically come off really quiet because I really like to sit and observe and listen to people, and also hear their perspectives, their sides. And also growing up in a huge family, I feel too, you're fighting for your voice, right? To be heard. So now I'm just I want to sit and observe and listen and just bring the energy in and read it. But I grew up on a farm in Florida, as country as it gets, horses, cows, pigs, donkeys.
Okay, guys, you would never know this if you saw her because she walks in so chic. The first time I was like, this girl has so much style.
Yeah, no, so obviously the farm life wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I knew that immediately, although it was such a good experience to grow up in because there's so much land, so much nature, so much that you have to do. You're creative to find things to do. We would tie things up behind four-wheelers and just ride on anything, whether it was a knee board, a tube, and just
Wait, okay, so what's your craziest story growing up? Oh, no.
So we had a pond, a huge pond in our backyard, and we grew up with everything, dirt bikes, four-wheelers. We had a gator, John Deere gator. Yeah. And we would tie a rope to the back of that, and we would have a knee board in the pond, and we would basically circle the pond like really fast. And you'd be halfway in the water, but also come up on land sometimes. And me and my brothers, we would compete on like who could stay on the longest. But of course, when my brothers drove, like they had the intention to kill me, I think.
Yeah.
And I one time went up on the land, just noseboard right into the land, flipped, did a whole scorpion back bend, and it was also in front of like all of my friends. And at this point I was in middle school, so I was so embarrassed.
For sure.
Because I also cried.
Yeah. You're like, no, they saw me.
They all saw me, but there's honestly so many amazing stories that are just so country.
Yeah.
So it was just a different experience driving things through the mud. So a part of me really loves that aspect, but I feel like that's why I'm also so drawn to Austin, because it's a city if you want it to be a city, or it's nature if you want it to be nature.
Yeah.
And for a country plus city girl, that's like the perfect balance for me.
So, and I can totally relate to that. I'm from the Rio Grande Valley, and so super tip of Texas. And we were secluded by like 3 hours, 4 hours of no man's land to the rest of the United States. So we're down there with, it's just so different. But then when you get a taste of the city, you're like, oh, you take all that you've learned in your childhood, and then you come up to the city and you make an impact.
Yeah.
What was the deciding factor for you to move out? Because people can stay forever.
My entire family. Yeah. I'm the only one who has moved out. Like my entire family is still in Florida, but I think growing up, I just honestly like never really felt like I fit in. Like my family's really, really like conservative Mormon.
Mormon?
Yeah. And I just like never felt like that was it. And I played soccer, so I was fortunate enough to get a full ride scholarship to get out, and that was really my opportunity. And I went to New York for 2 years to play soccer there.
So you went to the big city.
Yeah, it was a huge culture shock, but something that I absolutely needed to experience coming from a farm with no buildings around like that. And I was in culture shock, but I learned so much in those 2 years. And then I ultimately transferred down to Texas A&M Corpus Christi to play soccer down there when they first opened their D1 program. Got my bachelor's there, got my master's degree there.
What did you study?
Kinesiology, as many athletes do.
Yeah.
And then I stayed. Big surprise. And then I stayed and got my master's in sport physiology. But I did a lot of research on acute kidney injury in relation to dehydration in South Austin. And that was so my passion in that moment. Yeah. And then boom, graduated in COVID. And 4.0, all the things. Yeah. Couldn't get a job anywhere during that time. And that's when real estate came into my life, because that was still very much booming at that time.
Even more so, because people were looking for a city that was still open.
Absolutely. Active. Yeah, absolutely. So I got my real estate license at that time, and I started with this really big brokerage for apartment locating in Austin, and it just took off for me. That company, they post kind of like more lower budget things. So I, at that point, that's kind of why I started my social media, because I was working so many clients and getting so burnt out. And my strategy was, I want to acquire my own leads, because I would rather work 10 2K budgets than 21K budgets. That's just a lot.
So give the listeners, because we're so well acquainted with real estate, and so we know exactly what you're talking about, but there might be some that have no idea what apartment locating is. And when I talk to buyers, and they were like, they think their perception, if home buying isn't for them right now, obviously they continue to lease, or they go, they get another lease.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, I don't need an apartment locator, because they feel like they have to pay.
Yeah.
So explain a little bit of how that works, and just the backstory.
It's incredible. Like, the service is completely free to our client. We work with, almost every single community in Austin, and it's ultimately the management communities like Greystar, Bell, et cetera, that pay us for referring potential residents to them. So that's how I started, and I really just went in on learning the markets, learning the apartments, meeting with leasing agents, talking to managers, building connections. I was really big on touring with clients and also developing those connections. And since I was doing social media, I got to get in and tour so many of them, so I got to learn and just really, as they say, like, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
In that sense, I was just so eager to get in and learn everything Austin Apartments. And ultimately, I'll post something on social media, a client reaches out to me, I'll send them a full list of what they're looking for, educate them on areas if they're not familiar with Austin, all for free. The only thing that they ultimately have to do is put my name down when they apply to a community.
Wow.
And that's it. And for the most part, typically we're paid 1 month's rent at some communities, and 100%, sometimes 200% at communities. So it's ultimately kind of a numbers game when it comes down to apartment locating. It's way higher pace and higher volume than the residential side of things. But if you're working with a lot of clients at a time, it's it can be very beneficial, like financially.
Very lucrative.
It's very lucrative, and a lot of people don't know that. And I did it for, 3 years as the top agent at my prior brokerage, and then I eventually grew to manage that company. And then I grew to leave that company.
Yeah.
And that's when NAV Agency was created. And NAV, really, I felt like at my previous brokerage for a year, I was kind of fighting and arguing with the broker to just like see my perspective and also see the perspective of the agents that were there and what they were asking for and looking for. And I learned a lot in that experience. And I wouldn't say I'm a very confrontational person, but I learned to be.
You don't strike me as one. Yeah.
I learned to be in
Yeah.
that situation. And it just got to a point where it was more about value, because at that point, I absolutely understood my value in terms of what I can.
Hold on. That is a word. Gosh, that is a word.
Yeah.
Understanding your own value.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
And I just knew. So I ultimately left there myself, and the manager of the Dallas market of that same brokerage I was with, we left together and we founded NAV Agency, which we wanted to give apartment locators the opportunity of also doing buy-sell if they wanted to progress to that. And we wanted to, brand it like nice and luxury, because that's the clientele we want to attract and bring in. We want to, work smarter, because you are talking to so many people through my social medias, through my TikTok, through my Instagram. I'm getting, close to 300, 400 leads a month at sometimes.
You guys, that is an anomaly. People scratch and claw for one lead, right? But you've used the power of social media. But also, like, some things that and correct me if I'm wrong, but, your grind has been just tweaks along the way. And I guess the biggest tweak in the very beginning must have been, hey, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
And not, not just do like the 1K clientele, but who else can I attract?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you have to show these properties, right?
Yeah.
So if you're showing...
Most definitely. It depends on, like, some communities we can just send our clients to. We don't even have to be at downtown, which is pretty much my niche for right now. It's pretty much always escort. So I'm going with my clients to tour, but I also love doing that because that's the clientele that I also want to have those connections with, build, because then those clients may potentially buy with me,
For sure.
you know, the next year, because that's what I'm ultimately trying to get into now. I've done the apartment thing. I've run that game, you know.
You can do it in your sleep.
Yeah, and now I more so want to, with my leads that I do acquire, pass them to my team, so that while they're building their page up to a point that hopefully surpasses mine, that's the goal for all of them. Like, I want to be able to contribute to their bag, because at the end of the day, like, it does come easier to me at this point because of many years of posting, like, super consistently and just like being on the grind. And it paid off, and it paid off a lot this year. And I'm super thankful to be in the position that I am in now. Yeah.
Well, I would say it will always pay off if you stay in the game long enough, right? But I think that this is why we connected so well. I mean, we didn't talk too much the last time that we got together, but just in the moments that we did, I feel like your heart and my heart are very similar in the sense that you're for the people, or, you know, for your team, for the clients, but you've also taken all the lessons you've learned. And real estate can be, it's hard to find, because I would say it could be a very sharky business, especially in the lending world. And I'm sure in the apartment locating space as well, it can be a very sharky business. And like you, naturally, I don't know if you've taken the Enneagram test, but I've been like on a kick right now with the Enneagram test. And my natural thing is the helper, right? Yeah. There's no bone in my body that's naturally confrontational. However, you will learn skills along the way to be able to advocate for yourself. When you said that you found your value and you knew your value, that's when you like grow a backbone and you're like, I will put my foot down because I know my worth. Yeah. And change is also very scary. You say it in such a calm voice, like we've got it all together, but I know that you know, to make the move, and should I or shouldn't I, or what are people going to think? I've been here for so long, like, and you can even question, because you strike me as somebody that's very loyal, right? And so it's like, okay, my loyalty, but also you're like, what about for everybody else that's on my team? You know, and you see the writing on the wall. And so I'm so proud of you, Jordan, from you know, one girl to another, especially in this industry. Like, you're doing an amazing job. But anyway, that was a little break. Continue your story.
Where do I go?
So now you've, you know, obviously had the courage. You opened the NAB agency, and you've attracted the growth with that too, has been. So talk to us about that. How have you been growing so fast, it seems like?
So ultimately, one thing is the social media game and being super consistent with that. But also, now that I've been posting videos for 3 years, if I looked back on a video I posted 3 years ago, I would cringe. Like, I wouldn't edit my video that way anymore. So I think now I've like finally crafted what I want to present. But even still, like, growing every day, watching other videos of agents who are doing it better than I am, seeing what they're doing, but how can I take that and make it unique to myself, which is what I tell all of my agents as well, because at the end of the day, there's so many agents who are posting videos. So how do you ultimately stand out? And that's how you curate your videos, and having someone feeling drawn to you and what you're selling, and what you're selling is like ultimately yourself. So in the name of referrals, like, you're selling yourself way before you're selling an apartment. You know, they've gone to your page, they've vetted you. That's so much different than, say, like Facebook Marketplace, which a lot of agents are doing, because the people that are clicking through Facebook Marketplace have already reached out to probably 10, 20 agents. But if I come up organically on someone's FYP, there's a better odd of that client being loyal to me. So then my strategy has always been quality over quantity. I'd rather have quality leads than a lot of leads. And hopefully one day it reaches a point where it can be both as well. And that's what really I'm focusing on right now is social media growth. And yes, it's my brand and yada yada, but I really want to generate those leads to like help feed the agents on my team as well. And like the Graham brothers and bringing people onto the team, it's like I've reached out to agents who are doing like a similar thing to myself and trying to self-brand and grow their page and acquire their own leads. Those are the kind of agents I feel passionate about supporting with my leads in the meantime, because I know the hustle,
doing the work.
I know the grind, like getting content every day, editing videos, posting it, being consistent. Like that's a job in itself, you know? And it's like, okay, some months I can be a full-time agent. The next month I'll be a full-time manager. The next month I'll be full-time content, you know, because it's also the biggest thing in transitioning has just been refinding a balance, because I'm still doing the same thing as I was before, but I'm trying to do it on a much, much, much larger scale now. So it's taking a lot of work, but there's nothing that I love more than working and seeing it be successful, but also putting energy and like light into my agents and watching them be successful through it. That is where I really like feel fulfilled in my position. Like I don't feel successful if my agents aren't successful. Like it's if I eat, you eat mentality for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that's I would say it's not as common as you think. People think that so many people are wired that way, and it's really not. You know, and so to have you on and you sharing your heart, and you're like, I know what that grind looks like when you're trying to just pay the bills. But something I've heard in business is you also have to slow down to speed up. And it sounds like that's what you're doing. Like you take a month off. I mean, not really off, but you're like, okay, now we're here. I'm in a good position here. So let's dissect who needs my help, you know, what's going on, and then revamp again. But props to you for putting in so much work to even be at that position, to have that option, right? Because so many people don't have that option to be able to serve their team. And you've done so much work to be able to put yourself in that space. One thing I do want to backtrack on is the social media piece, because I myself struggle with that. Like I am so thankful for Pouch 6 because they do all of the editing automatically. If it were me, oh my goodness, like I was just telling them, like I would start this podcast maybe like 2 or 3 years down the road, you know, just because of the fear of like having to do all of the editing, all the things, right, to make sure it's perfect. What are some recommendations you would share with somebody that's starting off, even if they're not a real estate agent, but that just somebody that's trying to be a content creator? What would be a recommendation or a pointer that you would give them?
I would say don't hyperfixate on it being perfect, because you see things that go viral all the time that are the dumbest, silliest things. And I feel like when agents get stuck, this happens sometimes at my company, where it's like they'll just hyperfixate on the video and want it to be perfect, and then they don't end up posting it, and then they'll go back on it. So it's more of like, don't hyperfixate on it being perfect. Focus on just creating a video that you like and that you enjoy creating, and how can you showcase your personality in that at the same time. Like for my videos, it's taken me a while to progress to where they are now, but I just genuinely like creating videos that are a vibe, you know, like
your whole page is a vibe.
Like, I want a good transition on a beat drop, and like I'll sometimes throw myself in there if it's like I'm wearing a cool outfit. And that's just how I like creating videos like that, because then if it's catchy and like it drops on a beat, then I'll rewatch it several times, and I'm like, oh, this is like good. So I think the biggest thing is to create videos that you like, and also not to hyperfixate on it being perfect immediately, because I started posting 3 years ago, and I would not post that kind of video now, it's always kind of growing, watching other people who are doing it better than you. How are their transitions? What are they saying, like, in their captions, if they're putting something on the video? Like, if you type real estate, or you'll see what videos are going viral, and maybe if there's certain trends or trending songs to use. So I watch just a lot of reels, and I'll pick songs. Are you
more on TikTok, or where did you start first? What platform did you use?
I started on TikTok, and that really is what gave me a head start in self-generating my leads, because I was the first agent in Austin to start on TikTok. So I just went in. I was posting like 2 to 3 times a day, just blasting videos like super consistently. I would follow up with my clients all in the morning. I'd edit videos, post them at night. And then if I had extra time, I'd edit videos, save them in my drafts, post them the next day. And that's still like my workflow to this day.
I was gonna get there and ask you what that looks like, because people don't like the truths are you see a successful girl on TikTok and Instagram generating 200 to 300 leads a month. Goals, right? But like, what is that grind?
Exactly. Actually? And my whole thing too with my team is like, I'm going to practice what I preach. Like, there's an example, so many examples on our team. Like, we have agents who have 50K followers. Like, I'm not even at that point yet. There's so much guidance and collaboration on social media, and just what to do, and examples of how it's worked for someone versus how it's worked for someone else. And there's common themes within all of that. And it's most definitely, consistency, because if an agent is posting 1 time a week, how are you going to beat out somebody who's posting 3 to 5 in the algorithm, like me? So it's kind of just like, and TikTok, I started there, and now I've grown it to about 25,000 followers now. And that's a consistent lead source for me in generating leads. And then I actually just started on my Instagram when I transitioned, because I was like, I need to do both and incorporate both. My Instagram before was completely personal, and I just opened it up to my full work life world, and I started doing the same thing on there, but I wanted to post some different videos on Instagram than I do TikTok. TikTok, it doesn't have to be super like cinematic, or it could just be day in the life, or something. But Instagram, I wanted it to be more in line with what I had already posted on my personal, which was I love taking pictures, but like really aesthetic pictures, not even just of me, but of just like really cool stuff. And like, I'm not typically the person to be on camera. Like, I like...
There's like a mystery.
Like
a vibe, a mystery to your Instagram.
I like that, and I post different videos on there than I do, but I started that back in November. I started with like 4,000 followers.
Wow.
And now I'm at 10.5, so it's grown pretty good in the amount of time that I've been posting, but I feel like Instagram is most definitely a little bit harder than TikTok in terms of going viral. Like, I've definitely had a few more posts go viral on Instagram recently. But TikTok, I feel like all the time it was like boom, boom.
How often are you posting on Instagram to grow?
So it kind of goes through flows where like this past month I focused more on taking on clients and leasing. So I didn't have as much time to get content, or what I'll do most of the time is if I'm touring with clients, I'll also make it content, and I'll get walkthroughs while they're touring, and then I'll send those to my clients so that they remember what floor plan they toured, and then I'll just use that as content as well. Multitasking, but this month I wasn't as consistent as I was the month before. So the month before I was posting almost every other day. And I typically will have like one day of the week or 1 to 2 that I set as content days where I'll just try and go and film as many buildings or as many houses as I can in that day. And then I just periodically edit them throughout the week and post. And it's definitely a consistent grind, but I would say I post, you know, at least 3 times a week, sometimes 5.
On Instagram. Yeah.
TikTok, honestly, more.
Yeah.
There's sometimes I'll post like 2 videos a night there.
Do you repurpose, like post on TikTok and then post on Instagram the same video, or it's 2 totally different?
Not. So when I first started posting on my Instagram, I noticed that the views didn't do as well. So I have a completely different strategy now where if I'm posting on TikTok, I edit in TikTok, I post on TikTok. If I want to post on Instagram, I edit on Instagram, I post on Instagram. TikTok, I will say, I like the editing more on there. It's a little bit easier. Instagram, it's like a little bit finicky sometimes, but either way. And I also just post different things. Like I'll do more day in the life stuff on TikTok.
Okay.
I don't know why I haven't done that on Instagram yet. I think maybe I'm a little bit nervous.
Nervous?
Just because it is kind of like right now it's like a little mystery vibe. Like, I'm only in some clips, like, but because I also like, I really do, I want it to be about the things that I'm posting too. And I think, I know that like I'm an attractive woman, but I don't like want to sell myself on that.
Yeah.
Because too, it's, I don't know. I've dealt with some for sure weirdos, you know?
But, combing through 200, 300 leads a month. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's just like, you know, I want it to be about like my business, you know, and like,
I love that.
Not that I'm an attractive woman.
Yeah. They'll meet you after they sign on the dotted line. No, I'm just
exactly.
to work with you.
Yeah, exactly.
No, those are some really good tips. I would say, and I'm just, you know, speaking from my own self, trying to create content, and what I find like exciting, but then also disheartening, because I would be so excited I finish, which doesn't take me 20 minutes. It probably takes me an hour and then some to edit, right? Then when I finally do, I post and I'm like, yes, my work of perfection. And then part of it is that I take so much time to edit that then you post it on the gram and it only gets, you know, a couple thousand views, and you're like, man, why didn't that one go viral, you know? Why don't people appreciate my transition that I work so hard on? You know?
Honestly, sometimes the videos that go viral are the ones that you post and it's like, I just need to get a video up for the sake of like being consistent.
Yeah.
And it goes viral, where I feel like if you really hyper fixate on something and you need it to be perfect, then you're more disappointed if you don't get the views that you like, and then you're discouraged. So it's more so like you just have to keep doing it. And over time too, editing gets way easier, where it's like when you start to learn your style and know how to edit. My most recent video that did well, like I went and filmed that home, rushed home because I was so excited to edit it, and it took me maybe like 5 to 10 minutes to edit that video.
Wow.
Do a quick voiceover, posted it, and that's done better than the videos where I was watching sound bars trying to like line up the drops with the sound bar and it needing to be like on the dot. But it's I just like to mix the music in with the video and kind of just make it cool, not just like
throwing something
together.
together.
Just not just like a boring apartment walkthrough, like something just quick and cool,
edgy.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that exactly what you said, it's just in the continuing to post, so not getting caught up in the perfection, which is what I have a hard time of letting go, but then just knowing, okay, I did it, just to be able to check the box mentality for a little while until there's some momentum over time. And I'm saying this for you all as listeners, but I'm also saying this to myself.
Yeah.
Because like I do need that too. You know, everybody needs that push, which is why I'm so, for many reasons, but that's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful that I met you, because I'm like, okay, this girl's put in the work, the discipline. She's been there, and I can use you as a resource too.
Absolutely. Absolutely can.
Yeah.
Anytime.
So what is thank you. What is the game plan or the vision? Because you've worked so hard to put yourself in this position. Now you are in a position to make some moves. What is the big vision for NAV Agency? What is big picture?
Yeah, so ultimately NAV Agency it's a bunch of agents who started in apartment locating, but it's also a lot of agents who are in residential but didn't know how lucrative apartment locating could be. So it's a mix of both, and ultimately the vision for NAV is, for one, to just keep growing it. We want to be a big luxury brokerage in Austin and attract self-generating agents who can benefit from our software, because that's the most impressive thing about it's Aptamigo, but it's also NAV Agency, and NAV Agency agents who are doing buy sell have access to everything apartments Aptamigo, and they've spent 7 years crafting their software and perfecting it so that it's insane how much my workload has reduced just in terms of the efficiency of their software, and having a scheduling team to book all of the tours, and it's incredible.
That's amazing. So you take somebody that has work ethic, right, and self-generating leads, and then you power it with technology.
If I had that software back in the day when I was leasing crazy and having to go to websites and type all this information out, but now it's all integrated into my one website software, I double, triple, quadruple what I was doing at that brokerage. And now I'm doing so many things, building so many things, but in my first month at this company, I was able to beat my record at my old brokerage in just 1 month. So, and that's on top of doing everything else.
Wow.
And I wasn't even at my computer necessarily much that month.
And that's because you have to take time to learn a software, typically.
Yeah.
So if it's that user-friendly.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. That's ultimately why I came here. And then the concept of NAV really was, let's give agents an opportunity to also progress to buy sell. And if they want the branding of NAV Agency, and if they want more of like a luxury brand and higher end homes, then they have the opportunity. And it's very collaborative, where we're all sharing our stuff and collaborating on NAV page. So and it's Chicago, Denver, Atlanta, Nashville, everywhere in Texas now. So it's really just, I'm so proud of the growth that we've done in just now 6 months. So 5-year plan, of course, is all of my apartment leads I ultimately want to pass to my agents who are doing apartment locating. I want now a new challenge of doing buy sell and learning that, and now, you know, I love to be the best at what I do. And now my entire focus is just acquiring buyers and clients for that. And luckily I've leased, you know, hundreds of thousands of people in Austin, and I have a huge database of people who hopefully eventually are buyers. So it's just tapping into what I've been working for, and I want to get more into that side of things, you know?
That's so exciting. For people listening, how old are you?
I'm 27.
27 years old. We should have started with that, but then also there's a mystery behind who you are. 27 years old. And so for those agents that are, whether you're older or younger, I hope that this gives you hope, because, and here you are, 27, you've built what you have, and maybe people can understand from this podcast what, I don't know if people can totally grasp what you've created for yourself. It's like a little dynasty.
Yeah.
But I love your heart because you're so humble and people would never know it.
Yeah.
And now continuing to be humble and taking on a new challenge, which is buy, sell. And I am so grateful to have met you, but I met you through, well, Michelle and then the Graham brothers. And the Graham brothers are like my big little bros.
Yeah.
Like, I love them to death.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, you have to meet her. She's so cool. But also, if they if they made the move and trusted you, I'm like, okay, this is somebody that we should definitely meet and talk to. And exactly what they said, who you are and what you've done and where your heart is exactly who you are.
Yeah.
And so that's really encouraging that there are people as young as you are that are making some big moves that are scary.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this so much to so many people, but I really do have the philosophy of like, what is Skims without Kim K? You know,
Oh my
like
gosh,
I really
good.
believe that the value of the company is really just because of the individual agents that make it a company. So I slid into the Grahams brothers DMs. I was like, because I loved their videos. I loved what they were doing. And I was just like, wow, like they have such a good presence. They know what they're doing. I wonder if they've ever even heard about apartment locating, you know, like, and how lucrative that could be. Reached out to them, met up for coffee immediately. It was like, wow, you guys have the same energy, the same mindset, the same goal, work ethic, incredible. And it was just, they're good dudes. I'm so thankful to have them on this team, and they've got big things coming.
They really do.
I'm hyped to watch that happen for them.
Me too. I'm so excited because they absolutely have all the work ethic, and they're just like, how many more people can we help? But when you're limited by, you know, just the buy sell. And when I talked to them, I was like, oh, what was the reasoning behind making the move, right? And they just said, we cut ourselves short from only helping buy sell, and now we can help everyone that's moving to Austin. And that's how they worded it to me. They didn't say, oh, we can get more leads, oh, we got to make more money. Like, that's not what they said, which is where most people's hearts are. And they're like, we can help more people. And that was priceless. And I don't think I've ever told them that I thought that, but
about to hear.
Yeah, they're about to they're about to hear. But I'm so glad that you slid into their DMs, because they are quality guys, and they are just working to help more people. But that's your whole brand of what the NAB agency is. And you did show me a little peep into your software. And I was floored. Absolutely floored with how, one, user-friendly it is for the person that is the client that's applying or wanting to, you know, showing interest. But then, two, how that flows on the back end for you all. I was shocked, amazed at that. And so, I can see how that just multiplies your time, that app in and of itself. But also, I know you're like, I'm like, this girl's competitive, because you kind of took a month off. And this is nationwide, right?
And so we have markets everywhere. Aptamigo ultimately started in Chicago. And then a big thing for when me and my bestie, we're going to be ride or die business besties for life, Sarah, she's in Dallas. When we came on with Aptamigo, we were like, listen, we also want to have a second entity for buy, sell, lease, for the opportunity for agents to do that. And also, we just have a lot of agents who want to come that are doing that now. So we need to create that and get that going. And then me and Sarah, this whole past year at the brokerage we were at, we were arguing for the same things. We wanted the same things. We were very much together on a lot of things. So when we came here, we just wanted to make it happen, and we were so backed and so supported.
Wow.
And immediately when I got here, it was just like stress off the shoulders, where it's like now, even though I'm working 10 times harder, at least I'm significantly happier doing it, because the team that I have now, I do feel so supported, so backed, so encouraged. And I'll go through months where it's like, okay, yeah, this month I'm going to lease. And then the next month, I'm going to focus more on content. The next month, content and like recruiting and managing and all the back end stuff. And then lease. And then, but I don't necessarily, the objective of me isn't really necessary. Like, I don't need to lease hundreds of clients anymore. I want to focus more on acquiring, you know, clients who are going to buy with me or sell with me, because that's my next goal. Apartments, all of that, I've done that. Check. Was one of the best. Check. Like, I want, you know, something else, a new challenge, because I feel like that's the only way to grow. And you know, I just don't ever want to like miss out on any of my potential. And
oh my goodness,
I've always, like, I grew up on a farm, you know. So like, it was, we were always working. Like, hard work was it that was engraved in me as a kid. And now it's the same thing, where it's like, I will work, but I also have now, you know, found a balance and work and life, but also just making work something that I genuinely love. And that's with the team that I have around me. That's with the support that I have around me. And I love editing videos and doing all of my social media. That is kind of a time and a place where I get to be creative and not just an agent, you know. And that's what I love.
That gives me chills about, you don't want to miss out on any of your potential. I don't know if people listening caught that, but we should be living our lives on that one line, acting today as if we could potentially miss out of our potential. And so we just go that much harder because there's so much more to tap into. One of my coaches, he's on this assault bike all the time, and which I like, not for me. Cycling at all, not for me, but the assault bike, I die. But even when you feel like you've reached the point of death, that's actually only reaching 40% of your potential. And so all the grind that you've put in, you've really tapped into that above that 40%, but you also know that there's still 60% of untapped potential, and that's what you're doing the work to dig out. And I would say too, I know you said you're like, I've found balance, but because you treat this uncomfortableness as balance, but from the outside looking in, if you're generating, you know, working leads one month, and then content the next month, and then admin the next month, a person that's not accustomed to living that way or embracing that could say, my life is so out of balance. Like, I need to take a step back so that I'm in balance. And one thing I always say, because I feel that way, and when I'm in it, I like, just a little nugget is, okay, if I am out of balance in any area of my life, that's a good thing, because that means that the area that is superior, or that I'm dedicating more time and attention to, like, that area is growing. And so if you have balance, chances are you're not growing in any area of your life, right? And so you've just really have found peace in that unbalance of life. So that's also an amazing thing to accomplish at 27. I feel like most people don't reach that until I was in my 30s. Like, it's okay to live life, especially now with social media. Everybody's like, you know, me time and all the things, which is great, but also know that it's okay to live in that uncomfortableness. But yeah, go ahead.
I think that too, a lot of that, I mean, I would say that I had to grow up relatively young, and now it's in my adult life, I've really like found the friends that are more like family to me, and it's those are the people who are so like-minded to me, who have similar goals to me. And I truly believe that you are who you surround yourself with. So I feel like that has really helped me as a person, because, you know, if I'm having a down day, as I do, like everyone does, then I can call one of my friends and they bring me back down, and we're all kind of collectively on this journey together of growth. And those are the people that I'm like most attracted to mentally, are the ones who aren't comfortable and like want more and want to experience like all of life's potential. And then it's like I want to work so hard, and then I want the opportunity to just go to the beach.
Which
you
is
know, like,
kind of what you're doing. I know you've set your, people don't know this side of you, but like you do have your big family. And you said your younger brothers are graduating, which is so exciting. I have a younger sister, so I can totally relate. But you're like, I want to take some time off in May, and I don't really want to work. But the fact that you even have that option at 27, that's huge.
And like taking off of work for me is like it's like not really taking off. Like it's more so I'm gonna be passing my leads. I'm not gonna be taking on, because I want to be just present next month in life and for things. Because also too, I can most definitely get in this state where it's work is life, and then there's not time to check in with me, so I have to be so intentional to set that time. And I feel like since I came onto this company, it's been nonstop. So now I've hit a point where it's like we have a good solid crew, and now it's just letting and watching them grow and helping and assisting them doing that, so I can take a little step back this month and go visit my family, go to a bachelorette this coming weekend.
Do life.
Just do life for a second. Just be really present. And also, that's like when I get to experience, you know, what I've been so like working so hard for, which is, you know, I can do those things.
It tastes that much sweeter.
It's like this is what I've been working for, like this time to just be present and reconnect. I always say like disconnect to reconnect. And I'll definitely go through periods where I'm off at a beach for a week and I'm like, please, I'm MIA, like D&D, do not disturb. But I really think that's also super important.
But you know yourself so well. You've worked so hard to be able to put yourself in a position to do that, though, and have that option. I think most people, even at 27, I for sure, when I was 27, didn't have that option. At that time, I was still a speech therapist. And so, there are, I hope people listening know that there are, whether it's real estate or any other industry, if you feel like I was when I was a speech therapist, like there's got to be more to life than working so hard and then only taking off your PTO time. You know, know that you can work really hard in a different industry and put the ball in your court so you can take some time off and D&D, right?
I mean, being self-employed is most definitely like, I love it. You know, it's, my days are sometimes very chaotic depending on, you know, clients or things that pop up. So it definitely has been a grind nonetheless. But I'm excited next month to take a little reset, be present with friends, and then it's right back in it, you know?
Well, and the ball never really stopped, because like you said, you would pass off that to your team that you've worked really hard to build. So Jordan, I'm so proud of you. I think, because for me, as also a business owner trying to grow, I'm like, okay, content, podcasts, you know, I do loans too. You know what I mean? Like, and then so you're just, but it's just the constant, like you said, ebb and flow of business. And that's what's really exciting to be a business owner. Although I will say it also isn't for everyone. And entrepreneurship is not, I think I talked about this with the Graham brothers, but it's not easy. It is a grind.
I mean, I say this all the time, and it's you versus you, right? Like it's ultimately up to you and how bad you want to be successful, and the people who have no other choice but then to be successful. Like, they're going to be successful, especially if they have the right tools, the right, resources to help them get there. But if it's the work ethic, consistency, all of that, I feel like I started working when I was super young and like kind of, provided for myself with a bunch of things. So I feel like I am 27, but I for sure feel like I'm like in my 30s, 100%.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The work doesn't stop.
Doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Jordan, for coming on and just sharing a ton of nuggets.
Yeah.
I hope those listening can take just some little pieces. The biggest thing that impacted me is that tapping into that potential and knowing your value is so huge. And I have so much respect for you just because I spend all of my 20s trying to understand my value and also put my foot down, and I didn't learn that until my 30s. And so now those that are listening and you are in your 20s, take Jordan's advice, and put in some work ethic, learn to know your value. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, and I'm so excited for the NAV agency, what's going to happen even within the next year, because so much work has gone into it already. So nothing but growth with the right people. Do you have any last comments, last words of wisdom?
Words of wisdom. I would say if you want to grow and if your mindset is growth, you need to surround yourself with people who are like-minded. If you feel like you're in a crowd of people where you need to dim your light, that's not your crowd. Like, that's not your crew. Like, you need to be with people who also see your potential and hold you accountable to reach that potential, because 100%, like, there are days where, it's like, oh, I don't know, or you're like the self-doubt creeps in.
Imposter syndrome.
Then imposter syndrome for sure. But then you have those friends who are like, no, like, you are this, you are that, you are strong, like, you've got this, and let's go. Yeah. And then it's like, you're right. Thank you for the reminder. Got it. And you wouldn't get that in a crowd of people who are more so like using your energy for themselves, So it's really, I think in friendships and everything, it's kind of assessing your energy goes and if it's reciprocated and how it's reciprocated. Like, what are they bringing to you? Or is it more so like them needing your light? Because then you're in a situation where, you're probably being drained and you're not being poured back into. So, and there's always give and take in that. And I think it's more so, I'm super thankful for the people that I have around me who support me, and like, I feel so incredibly supported and like loved and encouraged. And that in itself, I'm like, yes, like, if I go up,
the platform.
I go up, like, those people come up with me. Like, that's the mindset.
I love that nugget. I think that that's the best piece of wisdom that anybody, if they didn't listen to this whole episode, just rewind it back the last 2 minutes.
Literally summary.
Because that is a word. The people that you surround yourself with can really dictate who you become.
Yeah.
And on that note, thank you so much, Jordan.
Oh, yeah.
We'll have you back in about 6 months and see where you're at, because I know this growth is going to be so exciting.
Hopefully I come back and I'm like, oh, yeah, I've sold a few milli homes.
Yeah. We're speaking it. It's happening.
Right? It's going. I'm manifesting it right now.
We are going to put in a ton of work. Yeah.
You're going to get financed and good to go.
Yeah, we're going to work through it.
We're going to do it.
Yeah. We'll have you back on in 6 months.
Let's do it.